Hi, this is Mark here and my pal Oreo, and today we're going to teach you how to make cappuccino muffins. They're moist, delicious, and they go perfect with your morning coffee. Okay, before you get started, you want to preheat your oven to 425. So first we're going to start with your dry ingredients. We have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, which I already have measured out. And then you want to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then a half a tablespoon of baking soda. And then with the whisk, you don't have to use your electric mixer. You can just take a whisk and make sure you get all your dry ingredients mixed together really well. So your next step, now that you have all your dry ingredients ready to go, you're going to do your first set of wet ingredients. So you're going to take a half a cup of oil. I like to use canola. And then you want to use a half a cup of white sugar and a half a cup of brown sugar packed. And then you want to grab your electric mixer. You can use either a hand mixer or you can mix it by hand. I prefer the hand mixer because it makes things a lot easier. You want to give it a mix, and it's going to look like a bunch of salt rocks, if you want to say that. And then you can add a tablespoon of vanilla extract. This is going to give it a nice flavor. And then you want to add 2 eggs, but you want to add the 2 eggs at room temperature, in which I had this sitting out for about a half hour to make sure they were at a good temperature. Sometimes you get a little shell in it, but that's okay. You can just take it out. And then you want to mix until it's nice and smooth. All right, so the last section for your wet ingredients is you're going to take 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk, which you also want at room temperature. Then you also want a 1/3 cup of sour cream, which I have measured out, which is a good idea to measure all your ingredients ahead of time. It'll save some time in the process. And then my favorite part, since I'm such a coffee drinker, you want a tablespoon of instant coffee, and then also a tablespoon of instant espresso. Then you're gonna give that a nice mix using your mixer, but this time it's not gonna mix well, but that's okay, because it's all gonna mix in at the end. All right, so now that we have our 3 mixes right here, it's time to put everything together. As you can see, I separated the flour into 2 halves, but we are gonna use all of it. So with your mixer on low, you're gonna dump in about half of your espresso mix, and then about a half of the other wet ingredients. And you're gonna mix that together until you get them nice and well blended. All right, and now you can add the rest of the flour. You're gonna add the rest of the butter mix. It almost looks like a caramel. You want to get all of it in, so I use a rubber spatula because this is so tasty. You don't want to lose any of it. And then you also want to add the rest of your espresso. And a rubber spatula will be your friend because that's what's going to help you get everything out of your bowl. And you can just leave the rubber spatula on the side because you're going to use it a little bit later. So the last step, now that we have a finished mix, you're gonna take about a cup and a quarter cup of chocolate chips. I like to use Hershey's. You're gonna dump those right in, and then you can use your rubber spatula that we had before, which still has a little bit of your mix, but you don't wanna waste any of that. And then you wanna fold in your chocolate chips. So now that our mix is complete, it's time to fill our muffin pans. You want to pre-plan this ahead of time. So I use Pam cooking spray, and I just give it a generous spray because I don't like to use muffin tins. So that way the muffins can pop out of the containers very easily. So I'm going to use 2 spoons here to make it a little less messy. And then you want to fill each shell with a generous amount because you want the muffin to have a big head so it's nice and crispy. I like my muffins nice and crunchy. So now right about when you've finished filling your muffins, you are ready to put in the oven. And you would think that would be a last step, but I do have some extra mix. I'm just gonna add some more to these tins that aren't as full. Because trust me, when you try these, you're gonna be glad you didn't waste any of the batter. All right, so now it's time to put in the oven at 425. Now that your muffins are in the oven, you're gonna cook it at 425 for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna lower the temperature. So I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. I'm back, everybody. 5 minutes has gone by, so now you're gonna lower your temperature in your oven to 375 without taking your muffins out. And you're gonna bake for another 12 to 15 minutes. I like to check after 13 minutes. So the timer's done, and that means your cappuccino muffins are done. Be careful, they're very hot, but look at how beautiful those look. And trust me, they taste just as good. Hey Oreo, do you approve? Does that look good? Does that look good to you? I think it's Oreo approved, but he can't eat it because it has chocolate. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our channel to see many more great recipes like this one. Now that my muffins are done, time for a little bit of reading and some snacking.